the LYON here are not looking very comfortable. 100 Thieves came out absolutely swinging, so let's get into the Fearless.
Let's lock in. There's already 33 champions that aren't available. This is always tricky to keep track of when you get into late game Fearless.
So Demonte, talk to me. Do you prefer blue or red side as the Fearless draft goes on?
I think blue becomes stronger, honestly. But oh, shit. I mean, I was lying. So red is better, obviously. I mean, look at our series. We did red in game 4 and blue in game 5. So you know, we just you can't guess what we're gonna do.
It depends on the champion pools.
Exactly.
But in this case,
I mean,
100 Thieves did pick blue. They had the choice.
With my shorts looking at the screen, Azir is open, so maybe blue side is a little strong. What is going on in the jungle role?
A little bit strange that in game 4 as well, you get a Gwen ban from blue side as well, because normally a lot of the Gwen answers are gone. And I do know that both of these top laners probably want to play carry versus carry, although Dhokla might think that he has a little bit of advantage in going the tank matchups, because that has just been an area that Srtty is like relatively untested on at the moment.
I feel like Srtty's champion pool, at least in LTA, has been relatively small as well, and like with everything that's gone already, I can see that being a pretty big thing.
Also, really big respect to LYON and how they've treated Srtty, because obviously he came in as a substitute, and I think they've done a way better job than what Srtty is used to of giving him comfort within the draft, and that's really interesting to do with a substitute player. Okay.
They literally left Azir and they go for the Yone preemptively.
It's interesting.
They want Quid. They want Quid to just dive in.
Yeah. I wonder what will happen in mid now, though, because you can go so many different options. I feel like you're seeing a lot of people play different champions into Yone. Like, it almost doesn't matter what you play into Yone in a lot of ways. And, yeah, there's the Azir.
I mean, I remember back in the NRG days, sometimes Dhokla would throw the Yone top.
That's
Yone.
true.
It's Yone, right?
It's Yone.
Yeah, it's Yone.
You know, the game 1 gave me that vibe, too, and they just picked a Kali. I was like, is this a flex? Like, where's this going?
Yeah. The energy days.
I do think that this is very heavily in LYON's favor right now.
Azir
So
Skarner.
this is what I was kind of saying about the longer it goes, the depth in the pools of these experienced players. And then I do actually think it is a slight mistake from 100 Thieves to give Saint Azir. He's a very dynamic player, and he actually skills his way through a lot of these matchups and gets into very advantageous positions on side lanes. And as I said, when I'm looking at these champion pools, I would much rather River on a fighter than having to match tanks into Oddielan.
Yeah, and he's basically stuck in a situation where it's either Sejuani or Maokai in
to
most
pair with
scenarios, right?
Yeah.
So.
Or Ziggs probably bot lane.
I don't know, actually.
But if they throw Dhokla top for Yone, they can still flex the Ziggs mid. And Ziggs into Azir is one of the classic good Ziggs matchups.
Absolutely. I mean, coming from the team that plays a lot of Ziggs, this is the matchup that we hunt a lot. Like, I mean, we played it against Faker at EWC last year, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's a matchup that we actually seek out and like to play. And I think that this is now a situation where, you know, you're looking at a Yone that is going to have an immense amount of follow-up no matter where he wants to engage on the map. So this gives the Yone, whether it's Dhokla or Quid, a lot of freedom to play with, like, great liberty on that side lane.
Yeah, I don't even know if LYON is thinking that, because I think they locked in the Sivir as if it was laning against Ziggs immediately, which
100%.
could definitely not be true.
I mean, I would put it like 90-10 at least right now. That it's going to be the standard lanes and keep Yone in mid lane.
Yeah, but you just want the flexibility as a coach, right? Like you say, okay, we've got one good matchup already. Let's get a second good matchup in there. And at this stage, there's not really all that much hard engage that's going to push Ziggs out of bottom lane all that much. So,
do you trust FBI Ziggs?
I mean, Vic is a person that historically has been quite up and down in terms of his positioning. I think that when he's playing well, he can play Ziggs, but it's not like it would be the first champion that I would give it. FBI puts himself in situations where his hands have to do a lot of work to get him out of those situations. And historically, when he's in form, he does that quite well.
Yeah, that is the epitome of FBI as a player. I feel like he can get himself out of crazy situations, but at the same time, if he's not deep into like solo queue grind or just enjoying his time, it's almost like you're like, what is this guy actually doing?
I mean, he just sits there and watches Viper VODs all day. At least when he was on my team, that's what he did. So, like, that's kind of the player that I like.
He's been like that for like 7 years. Like, he'll watch
100%.
Ruler VODs. When Purvy came out, he just watched Ruler VODs literally every morning.
Yeah.
Okay, what is Golden Glue cooking here at the back end of this draft? Because the engaged supports are also pretty pinched here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Nautilus is up, so that should just be what they pick.
This is a really dangerous Nautilus game. I actually hate playing Nautilus in games like this. This is one of those games where if you hook too early, you instantly die as Nautilus. He's like the squishiest melee support in the game.
But he's the last engaged support, so they feel like their hands are tied.
It does help a lot to have Maokai with the Nautilus, though, because Maokai can kind of face check all the bushes with his sapling before Nautilus goes, and you can use R.
That's actually a really good blitz ban for that reason as well. Maokai blitz would be really nice in this game.
All right, Kobe, I think you're right about the Ziggs being bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% now. I mean, they are. This is this beefy comp again.
Hey, triple tank, double carry. I like this kind of comp. Wow.
Hey, who does that?
Who does this?
This could be an exciting game for Srtty, depending on what he picks on 5 here. Historically, his Camille is like his best champion, you know, and this could be really it.
They've been hovering this Rek'Sai all the time. If they really want to give him champion agency, nobody plays it. There it is. Hell yeah.
This honestly is really exciting. I think Srtty is kind of known for his Camille, especially in his big solo queue run to rank 1. His Camille just, it feels like if you play against it in solo queue, you just lose.
But real quick, nobody has been playing Camille like all year.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really have a great place in the meta. It loses a lot of lanes, and I think in the past when you've seen it, it's played with like Galio, Camille, where side laning is really strong. But in the current meta with the objective focus, it feels like Camille really loses her place.
But the thing is like I always like to like close my eyes and take top lane out of a draft. And then the other 4 champions on Lyonz comp look really OP. Yeah. Then I feel like I can kind of pick whatever I want top lane. Like it's kind of a free pick here. Whereas sometimes you go, I really need a tank. My comp kind of sucks without a tank.
Okay, we got to send it to casters to Monte and Spawn. But are we going to game 5? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Casters, take it away.
I've been told to go. Coaches, sorry, we can't hear any more from you right now. We got to get into the game. I'm excited to see how this one ends up. How are you guys feeling about the draft?
I mean, I have a thing with bot lane Ziggs in LTA North where I was like, are we just really terrible at bot lane Ziggs?
It's not been doing so great. I think that was the stat that came up for it, wasn't it?
Wait, really? I don't think it's really that bad. When I looked it up,
because what I was going to say is
something that got locked in was 1 and 9. I'm pretty sure I saw the number. If I misspoke, I will apologize.
That might be Ziggs overall because it's lost in mid a bunch of times recently here.
Okay, we're running the stats while we get into the game here. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, 0-2 this split, but like all time, I think I looked at it and it had like about a 50-50 or slightly.
Well, not all time. I was just thinking just specifically
this split. It was 0-2.
0-2.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how did I get 1? Where did that come from? Okay,
I
read the number wrong, but technically, the percentage that he just said is lower than 1 and 9. 1 and 9 is an 11% win rate. Or no, it's a 10% win rate. But this is even worse.
There you go. So Oddielan's PC unfortunately shut down, so we're gonna get that restarted and hopefully
that is a black screen.
Any issues going forward? Maybe a cable got kicked. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, that will be getting sorted out. As far as the drafts, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think I definitely prefer Lyon's side. I do think that Yone Ziggs can work well if you can get into the backline. Last time we actually saw this, it was against a comp that had so much CC and lockdown for the Yone that I thought it was pretty impossible for the Yone to play. This is not that game, because in that game he was playing against a Rakan and a Cho'Gath, like plus a Maokai, I think.
Cassio.
Even like there was Cassio, there was just
like
so
the big
many tools. So this time I think that Quid actually is going to have the agency, and if he can get into the backline, onto Sivir, onto Azir, you have the Ziggs all over the top. Like there's a very clear way that they want to play this out. But, you know, I do think that this comp is not that easy to play into anyway, because Yone's going to go in the backline, get stunned by Leona, potentially ulted by Skarner, etc., etc. And I like the side lanes for the Camille into the Cassante, especially like the coaches were talking about. This is kind of an iconic pick here for Srtty. So I tend to favor Lyon's comp just for like ease of execution and everything, but I think both can work.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's going to really depend on execution. I do think it's a little bit more difficult to execute 100 Thieves comp, but I do think they have parts of this comp they're super comfortable with, right? Like they have the dive potential from the Cassante, and the Yone obviously is something that is pretty regularly taken away from Quid because he has had such insane performances on it. And I do also want to call out, because I agree that I like Lyon's comp a little bit better, but River's Maokai I actually think is incredibly stellar. Like, I think his team fighting on Maokai, as weird as that sounds to say, is actually quite good. And the way he can control fights with this champion, in addition to the usual, like, okay, we're just sending the ult out, we're zoning everyone off, we have this like insane kind of AoE gigantic ult that roots people down and sets people up. I actually think his team fighting minutia is pretty good on the Maokai as well. So those are the execution things that you might want to look out for as you're watching this game if 100 Thieves do start to take off. I do think ease of execution, though, LYON is just so much easier to do.
I mean, if you fail the engage as 100 Thieves comp, I think you're just going to get roasted. I mean, it's going to be Sivir ricocheting 4 melee champs and Azir standing just autoing, right? Like, it's going to be very tough, but they have a lot of tools to be able to set up that engage. So that's why these comps are pretty fun, and everything is solved. Audie is back. And he was able to restart that BC. He's in the game, and we are looking at match point for 100 Thieves, or finding out, can LYON get one step closer to that reverse sweep?
It also feels like whenever we talk about drafts, like I feel like whenever I'm like, I don't know about this 100 Thieves draft, like they end up proving me wrong because their players are on picks that they're really comfortable on. And we did already point out that they have some of those picks in this draft. However, you brought it up already, Azael. The Camille for Srtty is something I'm actually super, super excited to see. It is his signature pick. It's what he was known for. He talked about how he feels like coming onto this LYON team, even as a substitute, he got his confidence back, and he feels like they are allowing him to play his style. This is exactly his style. Top lane, power, counter pick.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that sometimes you can gloss over a little bit when you're looking at a player who was a star on ladder, right? Like top rank, huge LP count, like just running the show all the time. He was doing that with a style where he would counterpick top side, he would play from red side, he would carry the game in top lane, and it just doesn't line up most of the time with what you get to do in pro play. So him getting to play this iconic champ here in this one with their backs still against the wall, I think is a great chance for him to really prove himself.
And I'm not sure if he has other solo queue counts that he's playing on right now, but he does have 30 games on this one that I found of Camille, 67% win rate. So obviously doing very well
bad at all
on it in solo queue. Oddielan, 12-3 on Skarner. That is also not bad at all.
Yeah, that's
He's a Skarner aficionado like you, yeah.
These are not all new Skarner games either. There's old classic purple Skarner in there too. So
do those count for extra points?
Yeah,
they do because
give him
most people
credit?
thought he wasn't a champion. I used to get reported all the time just for picking it.
Wait, even when people knew it was you in solo queue?
Yeah, they would still report me after just for picking it. It was.
It's a principle, you know?
Yeah, it's
right, you did well, but you know what? You're getting reported anyway.
Special place. But let's take a look at all the places around Summoner's Rift here as we take a look at our tri-lane camera. You can see Srtty with the push here early on in the top lane mid. A bit more of an equal affair, and bottom side it is Hena and Lyonz getting the push against FBI and Eyla. We heard from Spawn on the desk about how he's saying, yeah, FBI puts himself in these positions where he's got to rely on his hands to get out of those. And to me, that's kind of like every person that I've ever met that's an AD carry main, and I say, well, why do you like playing AD carry? Like, what about the role? They say they want to mechanically flex on people. They want to outplay. They want to show that they're the better player. And it's much easier to flex those muscles on an AD carry than it is on a rat with bombs.
True. And I do think that's why, like, unironically, we were joking about how the Ziggs hasn't necessarily looked as good from the bot lane as of late. I do think sometimes if you are an AD carry player, you can kind of get stuck into a certain rhythm that Ziggs doesn't necessarily have. And additionally, when you are playing with Ziggs, the way you really, really want to play him is basically open up the map as much as possible for him to really just mow down that first ring of turrets.
I mean, it's the same thing we always had, you know, back when like AP champions become popular in bot lane, right? People just really struggle to actually make that swap, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with top lane. Sometimes, you know, tanks or carries are really in meta, and some players struggle to make that transition because it requires different mindset, different positioning, different things that really are going to change how you're playing.
And I mean, I think the even more classic is mid lane control mages versus assassins.
Yeah.
Some players are awesome on one and just not at the same level nearly on the other.
And I think the other thing is what it does to your composition, right? Because they're picking it because they have this Yone, and the Yone is their prio carry that they're like, okay, right? Like Quid, this is a champ you're super comfortable on. This is something we've run in the past that's been really successful. This is your game to hopefully pop off on this comfort pick. And that does change a bit the dynamic of a composition because you don't have that kind of super high, I mean, Ziggs does a lot of damage, but not in the same way that you would have a classic AD carry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I agree this is one of Quid's iconic picks. But again, we touched on it earlier. His colleague was his first melee champion of this split that he played. So now he is kind of getting back towards those. This is his 5th most played all time, 58.8% win rate, the highest win rate of the champions in his top 5 as far as play rate. So definitely is a champion that he has excelled at. And, you know, I've always kind of thought about Quid as a melee champion specialist. You know, back when he was, you know, really at the top of the league, this guy was known for his deadly melee counter picks.
Well, both of our mid laners, they did get to take kind of the ideal first buy that they could have got in terms of their teleport timings, in terms of the amount of money they farmed with the recurve bow there for Saint, the Vamp Scepter for Quid. As bottom side, Srtty has to jump away from Dhokla a little bit here. He does have the Sheen on the Camille. Obviously, everybody that's ever played against Camille knows the powerful synergy there with the Q does make those trades much more effective. But as Dhokla begins to stack more and more armor on this Cassante, he is going to become very annoying to deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, something we haven't touched on just yet is the fact that Saint, you know, did pick the Azir into the Yone, right? You know, and obviously that is pretty bold because often it is, you know, considered as a pretty strong counter pick. And Quid just kind of walking up here, trying to threaten. But Saint clearly confident that he can handle this. And I mean, Saint has been a very strong carry for Lion. You know, we talked about Hena earlier, obviously Saint as well, you know, is one of these guys that people are talking about as some of the best in the league. And Srtty was even saying that they have the best mid laner in the league, you know, not even just one of. He really put him at the very top.
Yeah, and this is because with Quid, it's been, as we watch,
we're going all out though. Srtty's in some danger. Dhokla takes him through the wall, but the angle is just a little bit slightly off. I think he would have liked to take him further towards the river instead of closer to the tri-brush there, so there is still enough room for Srtty to get away from that one, but I like the angles that Dhokla's looking for here.
I mean, Dhokla playing very aggressively, and even though he doesn't get the kill, he does get the flash. He's putting a lot of pressure here onto Srtty, and Srtty will TP back. Dhokla does not have his TP, so now this is where it can get a little bit awkward, where he comes back. He has the ulti, you do not, and he has the additional resources, so love that River is pathing down towards bot, because there could be an angle potentially to punish Srtty, who, you know, is in a pretty strong position in the 1v1, but has no flash.
Exactly. The best solution to a bad 1v1 is to no longer play 1 versus 1. If River can get involved down here, all of a sudden you suplex the lane state and everything's feeling fine. But River is level 6 now on that Maokai, and I love to see Maokai hit level 6 before the Grubs spawn because it sets your team up for such a good chance of success.
Yeah, and another thing I do want to point out is the teleport potential from both of these teams, because we do have the Ziggs locking in the TP. The Sivir also took TP to match, and then we have Summoner Spellbook on both supports. So we could potentially have 8 teleports up in this game, just something that we're going to have to keep track of. Good luck, Flowers.
I hope we get to see all of them, and it's just like a big, shiny, magical circle of teleports
we're summoning
around 2 tank junglers beating each other to death, and everybody gets summoned in like the Avengers. But right now, the only things getting beat to death are the Void Grubs. It is 100 Thieves first to the show. They're going to smite down Grub number 1, but generally whenever you see a jungler use the smite on the first Grub, it means that the call was from the very beginning, get one and back away. Because almost always, if you're planning to fight for it, you want to stick around for that second one. And now 100 Thieves are thinking about their re-entry. Lion is going to secure a first Grub for themselves, and Oddielan's going to smite that one away, but now the focus over on Saint, the massive burst coming in, but they can't quite finish him off. Oddielan trying to get back over the wall now as Saint still survives with 100 HP. 100 Thieves really went for the Azir, but they didn't have quite enough damage.
Yeah, Quid flashed in to try to finish him off, but Saint very quickly flashed back out. Both teams just get the 1 Grub here.
Lyonz wants to keep this fight going. Dredge line there from Eyla, trying to lock him up. FBI still here to provide a little bit of additional damage, but Hena pops on the hunt. River is nearby, but Oddielan's about to rejoin here as well. Bramble smash onto Hena. Another bouncing bomb collides as Oddielan makes his way into the fight, but now it's Lyonz going to be taken low. He's down to 50 HP, trying to get away from it. He walks into the minefield and the sapling. The traps on the ground end up stopping him, and FBI gives him a Keck W just for good measure.
Oh my gosh. Well, never change 100 Thieves. They'll be able to get in, clean up this Grub. I think that was not necessarily a fight that Lyonz really wanted to commit to. In the end, felt like that they might be able to get onto this 100 Thieves bot lane. Ends up dying for it and giving 100 Thieves first blood. Yeah,
I was pretty surprised when Lyonz re-engaged back over the wall, and I think they immediately realized once he went in, uh-oh.
Wait, he just went in. Yeah. A bit of a Leroy Jenkins moment.
Exactly. I mean, Hena pops the ult just to try to get him out of there. But as Oddielan re-arrived, they said, hey, maybe we actually can win this. And they just kind of started scrapping again. But the sapling value there, pretty big from River. They are going to be able to walk away with the credit for the objective as they got the second Grubs and did win out in the extended fight.
Yeah, and here we see the Leona ult coming through, River going in. Oddielan is actually going to be able to get a pretty nice suppress on, but Hena isn't really able to get in there. They don't have the damage, and then Lion just...
Look out!
Yeah!
No,
crazy kitty cat. He managed to avoid the minefield, but the surprise
the
exploding
sapling.
kitty cat took him out.
River's loving it.
Golden Glue's loving it too. Oh, that feels so bad, man. You're specifically trying to avoid the stuff you can see. You get surprised by the pixel brush kitty cat, and that is just a bit of a bad time up there. But hey, for 100 Thieves, you're loving that outcome. You won out on the Grubs 2-1. You get the first blood kill, but now it's Lion and Oddielan starting up the first Drake. Lyonz wants to go in with a Hex Flash of the Zenith Blade. Ayla's the target. They put a lot of burst onto him, but they can't kill him off quite yet. Mega Inferno Bomb over the top, and they lock up Saint. But again, he barely lives. Twice now, they've nearly killed the Azir. Twice now, they've missed out on it. Oddielan continuing his retreat though, and with Dhokla being here to help, it means that River and Dhokla can start taking the dragon themselves.
Yeah, Lion ends up getting the kill, but 100 Thieves at the end of the day are going to get the objective. So I think they're going to be pretty happy about that.
Absolutely. The initial engage here, is very nice. Oddielan gets the two-man ult again. Really good positioning with that. But Ziggs plus Maokai got so much damage down onto Saint. He got hit by a sapling, got hit by the Maokai ult. So as soon as he gets rooted up, FBI is going to hit everything there on Saint. Again, he limps out with such low HP. But a dragon for a kill, you're going to be happy to take the dragon end of that. That is the second objective now that 100 Thieves have claimed, as they got 2 Grubs, they got this, and now 1 objective away from claiming that feat. And looking really good thus far in this game.
Still very close overall in terms of that gold. Could still go either way. We think back to the previous game. We think back to how active Lion were early, roaming around as a 4-man squad while Srtty was building his individual lead in the side lane. I will say, Srtty's individual lead really isn't a whole lot in this game. Yes, he's ahead very slightly, a couple of 100 gold here, but it's nothing to really write home about like it was with the 1,000 gold ahead Renekton in Game 3.
Yeah, and I think with the Renekton, the power of it is he has not just insane presence in the 1v1, but also it got to the point where 100 Thieves really didn't want to contest objectives because the Renekton can just pop Dominus and destroy you, right? Because he was in such good position. I think with the Camille, they're looking for something a little bit different, right? You're looking for more of a straight-up 4-1 split push. I do think Lyonz 4 is very, very strong for that. So it's going to be on Srtty to really get set up in these side lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dhokla was just kind of holding the wave there, trying to set up a freeze. So that forced the TP out from Srtty to get back. Top lane, I would say pretty much dead even. I mean, yes, there's 100 gold, but honestly, who cares? They both have one item completed. Things all across the board are incredibly even, so it is going to come down to execution, come down to compositional advantages. And we are looking towards a second dragon, Ocean Dragon, so it's not going to be Ocean Soul. It's not going to be that Infernal Soul either.
And both top laners are also still sitting on all 3 cookies for the upcoming Dragon fight or Herald fight or whatever we get. Srtty going for the hook shot. That's a nice part. Camille, the hook shot's one of those things that seems like sometimes it shouldn't tether to terrain, but if you know the exact distances of it,
a little.
You can cheat it a little bit. And for a guy like Srtty who has played so much of this champion, I expect him to know all of those exact distances. Oddielan wants to go after Quid here. Ishtal's impact, but a nice buffer with the fate sealed from Quid to guarantee that he can escape anyway, even though he is technically stunned. Eyla's buying a little bit of time here, and once more, Saint is the target. He manages to clear the distance. That means LYON has to back out because there's no more firepower behind him. So 100 Thieves survive the dive.
Yeah, nice little mini roll.
LYON's flashing away, though, looking to drag River with him there with that twisted advance. But no more, nothing to be found. They will at least get another teleport, though, out of LYON.
That was actually really close to Saint getting interrupted by that Maokai ult. I was surprised no one was blocking that for him, but they had the timing right. He gets out, TP's back, and now it's Hena who got prio because it was early roam from FBI, comes down, covers with that Ziggs ult, but of course that meant Hena had the push, and then Hena gets the push in. He's the one who then did move down that second time. FBI now has gone back to base, and I mean, Hena's going to be pretty relentless with this push. As soon as you have Essence Reaver on Sivir, it is just perma-wave clear forever. You are just spamming out your spells. Q plus auto W is like, wave is gone.
And I think that's why this LYON 4, when we're talking about potentially setting up a 4-1, is so dangerous, right? Because not only do they team fight well together, but they too can get set up in a side lane, as we see Saint now pressuring this bot tier 1.
Exactly. Saint feels so enabled to play aggressively, to play in the face of Quid, because he knows Fate Sealed is not available. Even though Oddielan couldn't get the kill onto Quid earlier with the Skarner play, he forces out the ultimate defensively, which is going to give Saint this first turret here in just a second. The wave's about to crash into it. LYON's already up almost 1,000 gold, and now with that extra money in Saint's pocket, they're up 1.4K.
Yeah, really nice. Again, like I feel like this is a little bit more reminiscent of game 1, right? Where it feels like LYON are playing the map a little bit better. They're able to get these setups a bit better. And we did talk about ease of execution from this team composition, right? And as we look at the lane economy snapshot here, every single lane, including jungle 9, you know?
Yeah, all red. Hey, that's 9 gold worth of, that's like a 1.5 baby chickens from somewhere.
There you go.
Chickens are always so highly contested. You've got to take the wins where you can get them. As Srtty is going to make his way over to the Herald pit now, join up with Oddielan and Lyonz. Now, 100 Thieves are on the approach. It looks like they do not want to give this away for free. Hena ready to join up with the rest of LYON, and they are grouped up as a 5-man squad. Quid is still making his way up here. That's what 100 Thieves is waiting on. Dredgeline finds no target as the Maokai ulti runs into the fight. Mega Inferno Bomb with very little value. Srtty takes a chunk of damage, but the Herald is already secured by Oddielan. Now they're jumping into the pit to try to follow it up, but LYON are all still hanging on except for Saint. They finally brought him down. Hena goes next. The carries have fallen. Feat of Warfare claimed for 100 Thieves. They get 2 kills, but they lose out on the Herald.
And nicely done, though, by 100 Thieves, taking out both those carries, and this is one that gets pretty disjointed. I think Eyla shouldn't be throwing out his hook this early because the Maokai ult's coming in. You could get a guaranteed hook thereafter, but the Ziggs ult is pushing Saint back, and on the side, watch Hena here as they go back in. The spell shield is used, and he does not flash the hook from Eyla. As he gets in there, it is pretty much lights out. LYONZ unfortunately sidesteps the hook that connects onto Hena, and means Hena's going to go down in a hurry. And on the other side, Quid and Dhokla were putting out so much pressure. You can see the stress there on Golden Glue's face.
I feel like Sniper has learned the clap from Golden Glue, and he's clapping in unison.
Okay, well, we also missed, like, as we were getting back to life with the coach reactions, River just barely got away. Oddielan was looking for him there in the bottom side, River around the Dragon Pit, wanted to try to hit him with that rock, catch him out with the Impale, but River barely gets out of the way of it. 100 Thieves now have claimed Feats of Warfare because they also did secure the second Drake of the game for themselves with that Ocean. They now also have the gold lead yet again because of the kills that they got in the Rift Herald fight. They're feeling pretty good about the way these past couple of minutes have transpired.
Yeah, and it's coming down once again to teamfight execution, right? This is how they won game 1. They do have a composition where, like, if Quid is able to get onto the backline, as we saw in that past fight, onto Saint, onto Hena, it's going to end up looking really, really good for them. Even in that fight where I don't feel like everything went necessarily as they would have wanted in terms of layering their CC.
No, it's completely true. I mean, it definitely didn't, but at the same time, you know, it feels like LYON didn't really have the established battle lines that they want in that fight either. So I think, you know, the fight didn't go exactly how they wanted it for either team, right? You know, I do think LYON really wants to try to fight more front to back, especially with this 4-man squad. In an ideal world, Srtty's out in a side lane, someone's having to answer him, and you kind of walk up and you're having to go through LYONZ and Oddielan to get to Saint, and they are there to peel, to cover, because there is a really high DPS comp here from LYON. It is going to be Mountain Soul that will be on the table. Of course, there's 2 dragons so far grabbed by 100 Thieves, but that is the one that they're going to be working towards. And obviously, always going to be powerful, but it is something that you can deal with, you know, as a composition like this that has such high DPS.
Right.
And, you know, Ricochet that can be bouncing through and resetting the cooldown for that to actually repop.
It's not like you're playing Poke Varus and Xerath or something
Yeah.
like that just really hate having to deal with the shield. So I agree. It's one of the more manageable ones considering the game state and the compositions, but you still never want to give that away. But my friends, the time draws nigh yet again.
Our best friend.
15 seconds left on the clock until my best buddy Oddielan shows
Who's
his
gonna
face.
go for it?
Up
100
here
Thieves probably.
in the topside river. We will see what we get out of this one. It has been quite the entertainer so far throughout the weekend, and both teams know that he's spawning with nothing on the other side of the map for the next 2.5 minutes. So you can see LYON stepping up, establishing some vision control, sweeping out some of the wards from 100 Thieves, and now Saint has the opportunity to just put in the work here on the Tier 1 turret. They're going to summon up the Herald. They won't even need it here for the Tier 1, so we'll see what they want to try to do with it. Is somebody going to hop in and drive, or do we just let it go on a solo mission towards the Tier 2 turret? Saint is trying to get it close enough to get that second charge, but he knows if he overstays, 100 Thieves have had a target on him the entire game anyway, so he does not want to give him an angle.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves are already moving up into this top side, right? So Quid should be able up.
Wow, nice job, Shelly. I didn't think she was going to make it there. But
I
anyway,
didn't
we got a
think
little
so
bit of a
either.
problem with Saint yet again. Like I said, this is the guy they try to kill the entire game. Another bouncing bomb, but no, Saint can walk away from that with half HP. Now, okay, 100 Thieves, I was gonna pose the question. No, they already give me the answer. Oddielan is the angle here for 100 Thieves. Saint's gonna recall, but he has a teleport to join back up with the team once he goes back and purchases up and heals. 100 Thieves still working on the Oddielan. Oddielan goes in for the impale, but now he's gonna be in some serious danger. Eyla's first to die. Oddielan staying alive. Oddielan still at 2,000 HP. 100 Thieves will secure the objective, but they're about to lose. Dhokla next. Saint trying to get into the fight. River's about to die. FBI very low. Srtty coming in over the wall, and he's right next to LYON. 100 Thieves are in some serious mortal danger. They're gonna get aced in exchange for the Oddielan. A tragedy yet again at the graveyard of League of Legends.
I mean, 100 Thieves just full commit to this Oddielan. It's all eyes on the Oddielan from them. And Saint is TPing in from the top side. Another great ulti from Oddielan. And this time, Hena is kept safe. He is behind these tanks. Srtty comes in from the side. Hena is never threatened, and then Saint arrives, and you've already kind of used all of your tools to access backline. He flashes out of the way there as Quid ults in, and now all of a sudden they have no tools. Both the carries from LYON are full health, and it is just a rout.
Yeah, and I mean, LYON, this is exactly what we talked about.
Nice, really good. Go take topper.
This is really good.
I love how quickly, especially supports and junglers, just like immediately pivot to like, what's the next objective, right?
Yep, gotta stay focused.
And that next objective is going to be
cats.
spawning now.
You're trying to get your carries to go somewhere that doesn't give them gold, you know?
We went very dark places immediately, okay.
Not hurting, herding.
Oh,
As
okay.
if
All right, I
H-E-R-D, to shepherd to a safe or new
All right,
location.
I gotta clean
The
my ears
80
out.
carries are the cats, and the supports need to try to make them go places where they won't die. It's the opposite of herding cats. It's keeping the cats safe, Emily.
As I was-
The cats are trying to run into the road and die, Emily.
You know, one
and the
thing-
supports are saving them.
One thing I didn't have time to say is that I actually play AD carry not because I want to style on people, because I'm bad.
Because she wants to walk to a
because
side lane and die for a cannon minion. That is why.
I want to turn my brain off.
Every AD carry player ever. Here you go.
Emily's making the case for the cats.
Yeah,
Why do you
anyway.
play AD carry in League of
You
Legends?
know what?
Me no think good.
I mean, true.
Okay,
LYON clean up that Drake.
yeah.
They cleaned up the fight. They cleaned up the Drake.
But not the
100
cat.
Thieves.
But now we got the fight breaking out as immediately they try to engage on Saint yet again, and this time Quid's gonna find him. 100 Thieves are not gonna be caught unawares here just yet. FBI likely to die here. However, the all-out from Dhokla gets rid of Srtty and saves FBI's life. Now Oddielan's gonna be careful, but it's Hena still free firing. This is the carry. This is the man with the plan. This is the AD carry that's been protected and is ready to keep on chasing. Quid gets grabbed by the Zenith Blade, but it's Lyonz who's regretting going in. 100 Thieves end up getting a second kill gifted to them for free, and it's a 2-for-2 fight.
Yeah, 2 for 2 fight. 100 Thieves wanted to set up to end up taking that bot tier 1 and wanted to go in. It felt like at the end of the fight, neither team kind of wanted to close out, but they both kind of half-heartedly went in, and Lyonz ends up dying on the backside of this. This is kind of the classic Maokai setup, right? Where you're throwing the ult down, you're throwing the Ziggs bomb over, you're getting the turret, you're eliminating Saint really, really quickly, but then the fight splits up thanks to Srtty being able to take FBI out of the fight. So even when the all-out from Dhokla comes in, he's able to remove the Ziggs completely. Eyla dies in, and then the rest of this team comp kind of just runs forward at you very easily. We talked about how this Lyonz goes in a little too deep here, ends up paying the price at the very end. But yeah.
Credit to Quid, though. He really buffered that Q3 super well.
Yep.
You know, it can look a bit city for Lyonz, but if he actually gets that Zenith Blade stun, I think Quid dies. Instead, because that Q3 actually has some space behind you that it knocks up 2 into the side of you, he interrupted the Zenith Blade. And Flowers is giving me a smile that says he loves that design.
I respect Quid's timing very much. I know that is difficult to pull off. I don't so much respect the idea that charging forward with a sword for some reason slashes behind you.
It's the velocity of the swords, you know?
Right.
It's like being in a wind tunnel.
the sharpness of your sword.
There's
a wind tunnel, you know?
Emily, I know you watch a lot of anime. Actually, both of you guys watch a lot of anime. There's got to be some kind of anime magic to this that I'm just missing out
They're magic swords.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess the magic swords...
Have you seen a sword cut another sword in half?
Yeah.
Magic swords with magic timing from Quid there, guarantees.
One of them even deals magic damage. That's his passive. Come
but
on
it's
now.
only half the time.
Yeah.
But half the time he's dealing magic damage.
Okay, all right. I don't watch enough anime for this. Okay, Srtty's down.
Flowers.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Okay, Srtty's down to half HP, and I'm sure for him that doesn't make a lot of sense either, because it was just like 1 bomb, 2 bombs that hit him. But really, FBI on the Ziggs has a lot of damage here. He's got the Blackfire Torch and Shadow Flame combo. He's got his Sorcerer's Shoes and the Needlessly Large Rod working towards that next fully completed item. It's an 8-6 game still, close in terms of kills. Lion with that 2,000 gold lead, but it is also the 2 Drake to 1 advantage for 100 Thieves, so a slight little bit of extra power there. We've got less than a minute and a half until the next dragon spawns, and Quid's recall has been interrupted. Fate Sealed not going to get the distance he wants, and Oddielan immediately goes for the Ishtal impact into the Impale. Quid's getting juggled around. He wants to try to fight back. He doesn't have the damage to make the trade even. He comes close, but no cigar.
Yeah, that was actually really close to getting a kill back with the Ziggs all coming through, but Quid does get punished. Thankfully for him, he has the teleport, and they got Oddielan so low, so they can't just go Baron. That's really what they were looking for, I think, with that pick onto Quid is, hey, we're over by Baron, we just swept out Vision, we get this kill quick, we go over and be able to take the Baron right off the back of that. But at the end of the day, it does end up just being the 1 kill. And while that is good, it is not the end of the world here for Quid. But the next dragon is going to be up in 35, and eyes will be on that. Quid will have his ultimate up shortly after it spawns. It's pretty quick cooldown, 80 seconds, so shouldn't be a big deal that he did spend that in that last fight.
But if we're talking about what is a big deal, the 2 needlessly large rods in the inventory of FBI, he will not have enough time to combine those into a hat before this dragon fight occurs. That would have been a nice power spike, but unfortunately, time is not on their side. Lion, trying to be a little bit careful about this. They're still waiting on the Impale cooldown for Oddielan as well. That is a big team fight tool that they need to have ready before they go into this one, as 100 Thieves are going to take up position on the top side of the map instead.
Srtty's just soloing the dragon. No one is there to actually answer him, so he can do that no problem. With the life steal from Ravenous Hydra, he's going to lose nothing on this. And now 100 Thieves are going to realize, okay, we got nothing. So now they're just going to start the Baron, and we are getting into 100 Thieves territory, man. They are always down for a flip.
Okay, Srtty's got his teleport to join up with the fight too once Lion realizes what's going on. Still a little bit more work to do on that Mountain Drake. 100 Thieves staying on the Baron. Mountain Drake claims. Srtty making his way up. Lyonz is taking a little bit of damage from some of the poke from Ziggs and Maokai, but the Baron is already down to 6,000 HP. Massive burst on the Saints. He dies this time, and FBI got him. Lion are in the wrong place at the wrong time, and nobody's going to be left standing. Hena falls next. Oddie dies too. There's not a single man missing on 100 Thieves, and Srtty needs a hero moment now to stop this from turning into absolute tragedy.
I actually thought that it was going to be death for 100 Thieves, right? Because Lion had such a good setup, but the combination of the Ziggs coming in clutch, they're able to blow up Saint so early in that fight. Baron over to 100 Thieves. They're doing it like only 100 Thieves can through their team fighting.
Well, and I just love how quick they are to pull the trigger because they're getting TP flanked, but they do not wait. Eyla has great positioning, finds the hook into the ulti. The Ziggs ult hits as well. Everything lands on Saint, and he just dies instantly. Even with Oddielan, honestly, being quite quick on the peel, he's down, Hena's down. Even with these blinking health bars, there's no angle for Srtty to go in, and that is just Saint getting a little bit too far ahead of the team there, not having the bushes swept out. He gets in range, gets hooked by Eyla, and that may have just decided the game. That may have just decided the series, because that is Baron and a big advantage to 100 Thieves.
And I think it was so close, too, because especially since Hena is Sivir, and there were 3-4 health bars that were so compromised, 1 or 2 more auto attacks, all of a sudden everybody there is dead. Even if you still win the fight and kill him, you can't take the Baron. There's a whole lot that came down to that fight. And now 100 Thieves is 2,000 gold ahead, and they're trying to push their advantage. The Rabadon's Death Cap, the Empowered Sorcerer's Shoes, both purchased here for FBI. A Mega Inferno Bomb sweet spot is an absolute decimator at this point.
And I will say the Azir is really set behind, right? You know, he's just on a broken Seekers and 2 items. So basically he's just on 2 items. You know, Hena is very strong at this point still. You know, he's working in towards that 4th item. Srtty has 3 completed. So that is kind of where you're hoping you can get a lot of the heavy lifting done here. You know, if Srtty can get some pressure in a side lane, you know, get a kill, start drawing extra members, that is a way to kind of delay this push. And thankfully for LYON, they have incredible wave clear. So that is helping to really slow things down as well and stop this from becoming just a complete explosion of gold.
Yeah, you saw Srtty kind of responding to that mid lane push. Maokai ult's gonna come down.
Yeah, there's your Mega Inferno Bomb as well. Little bit of damage comes through from it, but LYON are still trying to weather the storm. Solar Flare locks up Eyla, but everybody else on 100 Thieves still pretty healthy. LYON defend. They make sure that 100 Thieves cannot just force them away from this objective, and honestly, you'll take that from this position.
They will,
Absolutely.
and slowly but surely, Srtty's also been whittling Dhokla down a little bit. He's been pushing there. Srtty will have to back off as he knows River's coming over this way. But because 100 Thieves, you know, don't have that side lane advantage, they don't have the confidence to actually put Quid in a 1v1 against Srtty, they are not able to play through multiple lanes. They are actually defending in one lane and only pushing in one other, so they haven't really gotten too much from this Baron just yet. It is the 2,600 gold advantage from this Red Bull Baron power play, which is obviously quite nice, but it has not really resulted in a monstrous lead that sometimes you do get.
Yeah, and it was nice recognition from Srtty, right? Because Dhokla had pushed up that mid wave. Srtty responds. He not only keeps Dhokla kind of out of that top lane fight as they were sieging, if Dhokla had wanted to match up to it, but he then has to stay in lane. He has to deal with Srtty, and Srtty ends up getting the push in. So nice kind of spreading 100 Thieves around the map so they can't get as much necessarily from these sieges. LYON does have a lot of answers to when 100 Thieves are trying to take down these turrets.
I've got to say, overall, I feel like LYON has just played the map better throughout the series, but 100 Thieves are just beating them in the 5v5, right?
I agree.
And we were talking about this off camera, where it's one of these things, it's like, yeah, playing the map is great, and it's very cerebral, it can get you advantages, but at the end of the day, it gets you an advantage for the 5v5, which you then have to win to be able to hammer home the game for the most part. League of Legends is not decided through split push these days. Advantages are accrued through split push, but then that just sets you up for that 5v5, and 100 Thieves have been the ones that are pulling the trigger in this series, have been getting those aggressive looks, and often coming out on top.
Yeah, I feel like nothing illustrates that more than the Baron fight that happened, right? Because the thing that does set 100 Thieves apart in terms of their team fighting is that when they go in, they can be so quick about it. And when they're at their best, that's how they catch people off guard. You hear people talking about, oh my gosh, like 100 Thieves, they just go in, we can't make sense of what they're doing, but since they are all unified, and I feel like we saw it in that Baron fight, they recognized a really short window to take advantage of the fact that Srtty hadn't TP'd in, and that has put them in a position to win this game, as they will now be on Soul Point after they clean up this Mountain Drake.
I mean, Quid now has IE, 3 items, and QSS.
Yep.
That is terrifying. At least the Zonies is finished for Saint, but I mean, you know, when Yone gets to this point in the game, sometimes the ulti can get spell shielded, can get flash, can get whatever, and then he just kind of like flash auto Qs you and snaps back and you die. Like, it gets to terrifying levels of damage, and when you have a Ziggs ult landing on your head on top of that, you have got to be so careful as Saint and Hena. One game, you know, is what stops them from going home. Like, you have to win this game, and one mistake can be the entire difference. If they misposition a single time here, that can be their entire season over. That's your year done.
Yeah, and by contrast, I do feel like 100 Thieves have done a good job of making sure they are targeting Sate in fights, right? Like, they do recognize what a key prio target he and Hena have been, and they've been able to take out the Azir pretty early in a lot of these team fights.
So we've been talking about the mid lane, but the bottom lane carry is also important here. You can see with the total damage, they're the two that are topping the charts. 4 fully completed items alongside the extra powerful boots from Feats for FBI Ziggs. But over on the other side, it's 4.5 items completed for Hena as well, as he has the Infinity Edge and the LDR. If he is not addressed, if he is left in a space where he can fire freely, 100 Thieves health bars are going to disappear.
They really are. I mean, he is ridiculously strong. But if pressure is put on him, sometimes it's really hard to actually stand and get those autos off, to actually have that opportunity to deal the damage. And that is going to be the trick here for Hena. Spell Shield on that Q from Ziggs, but you've got to be so careful. They just know one mistake is the end of it, and 100 Thieves are not shy to look for these fights.
And there it is. Eyla engages immediately, but he only finds Lyonz. Saint manages to stay out of the way for now, but Oddielan's going to be careful. He's taking a ton of damage here, too. One more bouncing bomb nearly kills him, but not quite yet. Eyla with a re-engage now yet again, and Hena's first to die. This fight is already over. Hena and Srtty are out of the picture, and only Eyla has fallen on the side of 100 Thieves. Oddielan's going to die to the execution from Yone, and now there's no way home for Saint. Lion just got aced.
That could be it. Look at the rest timers.
game.
I think that is going to be the series here. 100 Thieves are going to pull off the upset.
Everybody thought that Lion must have surely been more powerful than they had seemed. The rumors were that this was a sleeper team for a contender towards the top. 100 Thieves had been slipping, they had been stumbling, they had been falling, but they rise to the occasion here today, and the rumors of their demise may just have been exaggerated. It'll be a 3-1 series. It'll be the return of 100 Thieves and the elimination of Lion from the LTA. I can't keep talking forever, but 100 Thieves is going to make me as they finally secure the Nexus and take the series.